is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though this total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is high noon here on the West Coast, and that means it is time for Football Frenzy on a Friday. It is a full boat here. Chris Andrews on the far side, Alex White right to my right, Vinny Magliulo right to my left. Everyone, let's get right to it. We got a lot to get to.
Do it, yeah. A lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun here today. And let's start in college football here, and we begin tonight with 2 games, Vincenz, and we'll just take them both right at the top here. Oklahoma State, they did not play last week, so they couldn't. Probably a good thing after.
But they were still getting scored on by Oregon. 66-point margin in that game against the Ducks. They're 9.5 against an interstate team or intrastate team in Tulsa, I should say. And then a Big Ten matchup in Piscataway tonight. Iowa, now a 2-point favorite over Rutgers. Yeah. Oak State, yeah, you mentioned it, Jeff. Still trying to figure out what happened a few weeks ago. Well, the coach can't throw gas on a fire, and especially on the road, and give incentive to the other side. Anyway, but this is a different game here. Tulsa beat up too, right? You want to make sure you get the correct and accurate information and confirmation about Francis for Tulsa, their quarterback. If he's going to play, it looks like he's questionable, so they're probably not at 100%. Oklahoma State won last year 45-10 at Tulsa. So this game, you're probably going to see 10 on this game. In fact, I've seen some 10 in other places off of what we've seen. It's play against Oklahoma State. So it got as low as 9.5, but I think that there'll be some Oklahoma State money here. On the other side, Iowa. This is a tricky little spot here, right? Going to Rutgers. I mean, this isn't Albany, and it's not UMass. So the game did get as high as 3. Now back down to 2 and 46.5. So that's a pretty high total for an Iowa game. But I think they are scoring a little bit more this year, and speaks a little bit to Rutgers.
I have no opinion that Iowa game. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch, see how they do, traveling all the way to Rutgers. But Tulsa stinks.
Yeah.
I mean, they're horrible. I mean, I don't know if Oak State can beat them by double digits. I think this will tell us a little bit about Oak State. Mm-hmm. But I can't believe the move on Tulsa. I mean, I think what we opened this game, I think
13.5.
13.5. We're not at 9.5. I mean, we're right now. I mean, I'm going to be rooting for the mullet tonight. I can tell you that. I don't know if I'm going to get the dough. And I'm not touching the game personally, but, man, Tulsa is just horrible. I mean, I can't believe that big of a move on a team that's this bad.
I'm definitely not touching that one. I did take the 2.5 here with Rutgers, though, and, I got to give Gronowski some credit. He did look good against UMass. That's a quarterback for Iowa, 179 yards, 7.5 yards per attempt, but hasn't been able to do that against a Power 4 school. So I like Rutgers in this spot. I think they can keep it close, if not win it outright. And I like their quarterback in Kayak Manis. It's his second year here with Rutgers. started off great, completing 73% of his passes, 9.6 yards per attempt. I know it's not going to be easy. It's the Iowa defense, but I think they'll be ready for this one.
Went through it this morning on the morning edition of Sports by the Book. Rutgers has played Iowa 4 times since they moved to the Big Ten. They've scored a combined 17 points in those 4 games.
I was going to say, I know
they've had problems against the Hawkeyes in their 4 matchups. But hey, Rutgers offense look good. Now, granted, the opponents have been bad. Ohio's the only reasonable team they played so far. Miami of Ohio, they put 45 on, and they put 60 on the football power of Norfolk State last week. So,
I think they had a punt return or a block punt in the
block punt in the Ohio game. Yeah. So, see how it plays out. It's been mostly Rutgers action on that one as well. All right, let's go to Saturday. We begin not too far up from Piscataway. We just head up over to West Point. Chris, this is an interesting game.
Yeah.
Army, of course, beat Kansas State a few weeks ago, and then they get the mean green of North Texas, and boy, they were mean to Washington State last week.
Yeah.
Just an absolute evisceration in Denton by the mean green over Wazoo. It's been an interestingly bet game. We're currently sitting at mean green 1.5 on the road in this one with a total of 50.5, Chris.
Well, my power rating numbers came to Army 1, but I got to tell you, Bill Conley, a guy that I follow quite a bit, he had some big numbers on North Texas. All of a sudden, this team's pretty good. A team to watch out for. So, I kind of reevaluated. I definitely wouldn't be a play of mine, but I think this is a really good game and going to be very interesting to watch. Army, of course, went to Kansas State a couple weeks ago. Dominated that team. What Kansas State have 2 possessions, I think, the second half. Yeah. So I think this is going to be a really interesting game. 2 teams that I think are both pretty good.
I'm with you, Chris. I did make Army a slight favorite here. Didn't love it, though. I am going to use it for a contest play, though, and really just because of that, if they can control the time of possession. But North Texas, they have home revenge, and remember, they played Army really close last year, 14-3, and this Army offense isn't like last year. So I think you're right. I think this North Texas is really good, and I think they'll be ready for this one. And, I mean, to hold Army to 14 last year was pretty good. So it makes me nervous, but I did take some points here with Army.
That's your angle, right, Chris? Going against the team that won last year when they come back home, right, in an upset. So Alex's points noted. Army did beat them last year at North Texas.
Most intriguing thing in this game for me, North Texas is somewhere in between a team that needed overtime to beat Western Michigan earlier this year and a 59-10 winner over Wazoo. They're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
It just, where is that middle? So I'm very curious.
Well, that's why I want to see this game.
Yeah, very interesting game to start us off tomorrow morning. And here's another one. The battle for the Iron Skillet for the Metroplex we go in Fort Worth. Yeah, it's
is that right?
It's the Iron Skillet. Yeah.
The Iron Skillet.
It's the best looking cast iron pan you've ever seen, Chris.
Really? I have a pretty nice one at home. As a matter of fact, I cooked steaks on it last night.
TCU is 7 here at the South Point against SMU. Chris, there's a ton of 6.5 in the market now in this game with a big total of 62.5.
Yeah, I mean, I made the number 7. I think this is another game that is going to be awful fun to watch. And, these are the kind of games, well, like I said, I made the number 7, so I have no opinion, but I think we could learn a lot about both these teams by watching this one. I think TCU is flown a little bit under the radar. SMU, of course, had that great year last year that our good friend at the end of the counter, Vinny.
Yeah, he was all over it.
Vinny told us early on that SMU was a team to watch. But I don't know. TCU, like I said, flying a little bit under the radar, but I've made the game 7. I have no opinion.
I'm right there with Chris. Made it 6.5. So maybe there's a little value there in taking the 7 with SMU. 62.5, though. I do expect a shootout just like we saw last year. So that kind of keeps me up off of the number altogether. Plus, I mean, that game got a little out of control last year, so I think TCU will be ready here at home.
Well, they've split the last 4 games, right? I mean, 3 of them have gone over. I think we'll see some over money, right? We opened at 63.5. It's down to a point, but I think we'll see some more money. I think what's going to happen in this game and what it depends on, the outcome it depends on, is the defensive depth of SMU with all the injuries they've got defensively versus the offensive depth of TCU where they have the majority of their injuries. So that's gonna play into this one.
Very interested to see how this game plays out. I don't know if that. I know you mentioned the TCU injuries. I don't know if that total's high enough because this game profiles a heck of a lot like that Baylor game did earlier this month. In that game, they're still scoring points in that game.
Yeah.
Even though there was a 0.
I think this total will come back up, Jeff, to your point.
Wouldn't shock me one bit.
Yeah.
All right, Vincenz, let's go to Orlando in the bounce house next. Central Florida, North Carolina. Belichick and company have won 2 in a row after just that disaster on opening night against the Horned Frogs. Vinny, we're at 7 here. I'm just very interested on how this game has gone here. 46 earlier in the week, now to 47 on this total.
Kind of looks a little unusual, right? When you look at it, Belichick is a 7-point dog. I think that still really relates to what happened in week 1. I think that they've won 2. I know they won 2 in a row, but it's been very quiet. They had all that build up to the first game, and it's been two very quiet wins since. But the numbers held pretty steady. So here you have, Central Florida as 7-point favorites, and there really hasn't been that much movement. I think it's going to be a two-way betting game, which is what we always love in our world. So, and then this total at 47, not a lot of movement there either. So, I think actually this game came down first. I should say that there's been more movement on the total. I think it came down 3 points, Chris, and now we're back up to 47. So, not a real surprise there.
No opinion. Mine power ratings come to 8, so I have no feeling on this one.
Mine came to 2.5.
Ah.
So I am taking the points here with Belichick. We'll see how they can do in their 4th game. I think it was a lot of attention in that first game. Kind of like Jeff just said, they're somewhere between that 48-14 loss and, Richmond, not a great opponent, but 41-6, taking care of business. I think Gio Lopez looks like he has gotten his confidence back from that first game, and that's probably the most important. And then on the other side, UCF, I don't really know what they are yet. Jacksonville State, 17-10 win. NC AT&T, 68-7 win. So their defensive numbers look fantastic, but 7 points, it's a lot of points here. I think they can keep it close.
I'm just going to piggyback on what you said. Who the hell is Central Florida to be 7-point favorites against any power conference team that is in Oklahoma State right now? I can't even throw Stanford in there since they won last week now. But I don't know. I mean, look, could Central Florida run them out? Sure. Very possible, but I'm with you, Alex. This feels like a ton getting it on the road with North Carolina. All right. Now for one of the more bizarre road trips of this week.
Yes.
Let's go to Greenville. ECU. We'll get back to one other one. There are a few weird road trips. UNLV is a 2.5-point favorite of Miami of Ohio. Alex, I know you don't have a play on that, but I want to look at BYU and ECU first here, where Chris, this is Bruce Marshall reminded us of this on Wednesday. This is remnants of BYU's independent schedule that they played before they played in the Big 12. So that's why we get this weirdo trip to Greenville. I think ECU's pretty good. They covered pretty easily when it was all said and done against NC State, who seems to be a little bit better than we expected. They blew the doors off the Chants last week in Conway. 6.5 with the Cougars in this one, and a total of 49.5.
Well, I made this number 5, and I almost had this on my list to play the dog because going up to fairly key number, 6.5. I think this is a difficult travel spot for BYU against a team that probably isn't so bad. So, and made the number a little lower. Not close enough for me, not wide enough of a spread for me to play it. But I would like the dog here.
Me too. I made it 4, so did jump in on that 7. I still like it here at that 6.5. All the reasons that Jeff just said. The travel. Also, BYU is only at 2 games this year, and it was against Portland State and Stanford. We don't really know much about this team yet, and it is a new look team from that team that was really good last year. Of course, Bear Bachmeier is the quarterback now. Has looked good, but I like this East Carolina team. And Caton Hauser, quarterback there, veteran, has played a while now in college. And so far, his numbers are really good, completing 72% of his passes, 8.4 yards per attempt, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. So I think they're going to be ready for this one. I think it's going to be a great environment, too.
So they took the 7.5. They took 7. Here we are at 6.5. And Chris and Alex mentioned their numbers. BYU's outscored their opponents 96-3 in the first 2 games with a freshman quarterback. Interesting travel spot that as you mentioned. I have to tell you, it's they're betting it over as well. So dog and over on the play so far. we'll find out a little bit more about the young man under center. But their defense is really what's been impressive, I think.
Bear Bachmeier's the quarterback's name. He wears number 47, so he looks more like a linebacker than he does quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Bear's brother is Tiger, who is also on the BYU team.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
Bear, Tiger.
Yeah.
There you go.
A lion. All we need is a lion and oh my, and there we go. We're good to go. Chris, you've mentioned this earlier in the year, and I think it's still applicable here at the end of September, where if we're going to pick off some money line underdogs and put a few of them together in a round robin, this feels like a reasonable week to be doing that. I think ECU is a candidate if you want to take a shot there, even though, again, as Vinny said, what is it, 97-3?
96-3.
That's pretty good.
Not
pretty
bad.
good through
Pretty
time.
good ratio.
But I can see that would be a possible play. Yeah, sure.
All right, let's go to South Beach next. The Canes just pummeled South Florida last week. Yeah. Very impressive, even with a long weather delay mixed in there. Miami was focused the whole way. They won. There was never a doubt if they were going to cover or not in this one. And Vicenz, they're betting the home team here. We're up to 9. Florida, of course, last week it was the DJ Lagway Interceptable in Baton Rouge last week. Really, that game was more even than the final score dictated, and it got out of hand because of Lagway's turnover issues.
Yeah, 41-7 last year, right, at Florida. We did hit 9.5, I believe, Chris, and I think they took the 9.5. So they found that threshold to buy back. South Florida impacts both of these teams, right?
Sure
they beat Florida, and Miami took care of them. So, in-state rivals. We're going to see a few of these games on this calendar. I think what we saw out of Florida last week, Jeff, was a desperate team, and let's make sure we can't have another slip up. I mean, at all, but. So far, it's definitely been about Miami in this game, and I'm not real surprised about that.
I'm not going to touch this game. The only thing that bothers me is last week it was all Florida bettors, right? Everybody took the points down from LSU, took it like 3 points down, and now nobody wants to touch Florida because of the performance that we saw. But they're not that bad. DJ Lagway's not that bad. I know he lost some receivers from last year, so they do have to work through some things. But I mean, if this number gets to 10, I made it 7, maybe 7.5 here, so I'm right there. That's why I said I wasn't going to touch it. But 10, I mean, I think this is a Florida team that has a good enough defense where they can hang around.
I made the number 7.5. This is I don't like either one of these two coaches, but last week, going into that game, we talked about how the kids for Florida really want to play hard for Billy Napier. They know his job's on the line. You mentioned the fact that the Wise guys were all over Florida last week, and they're against Florida this week. That's not a common pattern. Usually if the Wise guys are on a team, and not necessarily that they're going to play the same team the next week, but very rare that they're against that team. And that's kind of what we see here. I think this number, 9, maybe not quite. I mean, like I said, I made it 7.5. If you see 10, I don't know. I mean, I thought Florida was in that game. Jeff, like you said, a couple late turnovers kind of turned that tide. But I don't know. I would lean towards a dog here, but I would need at least above 9.
We just want to ask you real quick on a point you just made, because the Sharps were on Miami last week too.
They were on Miami too.
Yeah?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit of a little topsy-turvy there with that one. I do want to check in with the national championship odds real quick here, Chris, because the Miami Hurricanes have been one of the risers so far this year. You got them all the way up to 12-1 now. Yeah. It still goes through Ohio State here on the odds board. The defending champs are the betting favorites here at the South Point at plus 450. Georgia, off their gigantic win last week at 6-1, along with the Nittany Lions of Penn State. 7-1 on Texas, 8-1 on LSU and Oregon, and then Bama and Miami at 12-1 before we start getting into the 20-1 category.
Well, look at Miami. I mean, with Clemson looking very vulnerable, I think we had them penciled in as they weren't quite odds on to win the ACC, but they were the favorite.
They're close,
and listen, they're still in it. They have one loss in conference. They're not out of this by any stretch. But I think Miami looks very good, and like I said, big question marks about the coaching, but on the field, that's one hell of a roster.
There's the second sheet as well. You see some, again, Georgia Tech, a big mover as well, the 75-1 after their win against Clemson. Alex and I actually talked about this earlier in the week. We actually think there's a few teams at 100-1 that you may want to hop in on now because those prices may not be.
Who do you got?
Illinois?
Well, we talked about Vanderbilt earlier this week. Schedule's very difficult, but people love themselves Diego Pavia.
27-point favorites this week or whatever it is.
And then no homer for me because Alex said it too, was Missouri at 100-1. They play South Carolina this week. They have 8 home games. Vinny, interesting again enough on you just said Illinois at 100-1.
They play Indiana, who's also 100-1.
We'll find out about those two teams.
So
we'll get to that game. That's one of the more interesting games on the card this weekend, which actually is not the next game, but it's the game after it because we have another game that features some teams that wear orange coming up right now, Chris, and that is the Clemson Tigers. By the way, there's your updated which conference will win a national championship. SEC's odds on now, Chris. -125.
Yeah, listen, I'm a homer for Penn State, but I've lost a lot of faith in them. They're not playing well. And the question arises, Mr. Missouri,
sir,
did they lose? Did they let the wrong quarterback go?
Oh,
boy. Aller has not looked good. I don't think he's looked good at all.
Could you imagine?
Oh, my God. That was, they couldn't do that. But anyway, I think Oregon and Ohio State are still very legit. But, you start looking. Bama's got a hell of a shot. I think Georgia's got a hell of a shot. I haven't eliminated Texas yet. I think that team will get better as the year goes on. LSU's still in it. Vanderbilt, all of a sudden, they might be in it.
A&M just
A&M wins
win
last second at Notre Dame. So there's just more depth to the to the SEC. And by the way, a team in the Big Ten we haven't mentioned yet, USC.
We will. We won't forget them. They're at a late night against Michigan State this weekend. All right. ACC, by the way, 6-1 after the opener was 10-1. And that is even with Clemson falling off the map here, 1-2. Mm-hmm. And they now, Chris, they welcome in Syracuse. You guys have it at 16.5. There's a lot of 17 in the market. Our friends over at the Westgate actually just moved to 17.5. So, look, if Clemson doesn't get right this week, they may not get right anytime soon. 16.5 here at the South Point on this one.
I made the number 15.5 myself. So, 17 is getting up there, but that's hard for me to be interested in the dog, even at 17. But getting close. Gets a little further up there. You might want to take a stab at the dog, according to my numbers anyway.
For anybody who is making power ratings now or interested, I still have Clemson 20. So that just tells you how high I started with this team, but not willing to completely drop them. But I've learned, right? And I'm not jumping in this week and laying any points. Stay away from me with these two. And I'm just going to watch and see and then adjust after and see if you guys were closer than me.
So they didn't play last year, but the 6 years prior to last year, Clemson dominated this team. They only covered 2, but they won 6 in a row. So, Clemson, if they're going to get back into the playoff discussion, obviously this is they can't afford any other slip ups. And as Chris mentioned earlier, it's about the conference too, right? Positioning yourself in the conference. So, look. A lot of times you talk about history. I pay more attention to recent history, and there's enough of a sample size to go by with what teams have done with each other, even in this NIL era and transfer portal.
Boy, this Syracuse team, it has not been particularly good so far this year. Whatever. So they smashed Colgate. Woohoo. Colgate is down also this year. They needed every ounce of it to beat UConn 2 weeks ago. And obviously they had chances to get in the back door against Tennessee, but couldn't quite get there. But boy, if Clemson's ever going to run someone off the field, it kind of feels like this, but we're getting to the point where it's like, all right, do we really want to be laying 3 scores here with Clemson? All right, the Chens, let's go to arguably the biggest game of the weekend in Bloomington, Indiana, because, of course, 2 ranked teams in the Big Ten, Illinois Indiana, and they are all over the Hoosiers here. 6.5. You got open 3 in the games of the year, right, on this?
Yeah.
Open 3, and obviously now, about a month into the season, the Hoosiers 6.5 with a total of 52.5, which is interesting because Illinois hasn't really done anything wrong other than be overrated by the pollsters.
They haven't, but they've typically struggled here in Bloomington. So they're betting a home team here. I think we opened the game here at South Point. It opened 4. It's up to 6.5. So where's that threshold? I know if it hits 7, don't blink.
Yep.
Because that'll get gobbled up, and I think maybe that's what bettors are waiting for in terms of Illinois.
I see Circa just went back to 6. I thought the opening number, matter of fact, I thought the summer opening number was good at 3.
Yeah.
I think his number's gotten too high. I'm definitely considering it for one of my plays to play on the dog. In the Westgate contest at 6, I think it was 6.5. I would definitely pull. I'm still debating on my teams, but I think it's a little too high. But Illinois have shown some vulnerability on defense. I think offensively they're both pretty good. But I think Illinois going to hang in there all the way to the end. I don't see why Indiana is such a big favorite.
Yeah,
they're a good team, no doubt. But so is Illinois, and I like Bielema. I think Bielema's a hell of a coach. Signetti. He's a hell of a coach, too, and he doesn't mind reminding you of that either. Like I told our good friend Vinny, he's an Italian from Pittsburgh. I know a few of those guys, and he fits in perfect with them.
They're very quiet, very shy, very reserved.
Very reserved, yes.
But, two good coaches, but I kind of like the dog here. I think this number's gone a little too high.
I kind of do, too, even though I made it 5, so I'm right there. But really comparing the numbers, both the quarterbacks, Altmaier and Mendoza, completing 72% of their passes, both over 9 yards per attempt. Altmaier has 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then on the other side, Mendoza 9-0. So very similar numbers. Defense are pretty similar too. I would just say Indiana's been better against opponents converting third down. But red zone, Illinois has been great. So it's really tough. But I think points, I do think they'll be able to hang around.
I'll just throw this real quick. So both of these teams, Indiana's schedule, as well documented, has been an absolute joke so far this year. Their wins are, that Old Dominion win doesn't look quite as bad now, right? Since ODU went to Vodtech and ended Brent Pry's tenure. They beat Kennesaw by nearly 50, and they beat Indiana State 73-0 last week. We know, not particularly good. Illinois, they beat Western Illinois by 49, and they beat Western Michigan by 38-0, combined 3 points scored in those games. The Duke game was so bizarre because Duke was arguably the better team for 3 quarters, but they just kept turning the ball over, and then Illinois ran them out. I'm going back to the ECU thing I said before. This is another one. If you're looking for like a little fun money round robin with money line underdogs, I know this is a road team, but
very live dog.
They're very much live here. I like your summer number better. Let's just go with that.
So did I.
I like your summer number. I think Indiana 3 made a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And here you are at 6.5 right now, where neither team's really done anything wrong through 3 games. All right, let's go to nice little rivalry. We don't usually think of NC State Duke as the big rivalry, but it is a nice size rivalry game. Easy trip from Raleigh to Durham for NC State. Right now on this one, Chris, we have Duke as a 3-point favorite, so those hooks are now gone, and 57.5 for the total for this one.
Kind of favor Duke a little bit in this one. Good 2A betting action. My numbers came to 5. So once again, a pretty narrow margin if you are actually going to play. This game did not make my list, but I kind of like the dog a little bit. I like the favorite a little bit.
I'm staying away this week. I bet Duke the last 2 weeks. I thought it was a buy low spot last week against Tulane, but they looked really good. So I'm going to stay away. I know NC State has some home revenge coming into this one, lost by 10 last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's a much better NC State team. But I don't want to, flip-flop now and jump on NC State and then Duke win by a lot. So pass for me, Benny.
Yeah, Duke last 2 years, right, win and covered. And, again, coming back, they did win at NC State last year. So a toggler, Jeff. They took the 3.5 earlier, so laying 3, taking 3.5. We don't want a. Thank you.
Well,
go ahead. Say
I
it.
won't say it. Bruce Marshall liked NC State this week on the show. Just throwing it out there. Like the Pack. What version of Duke are we getting? Are we getting the one that looked like the better team against Illinois? Are we getting the one that looked completely overmatched by Tulane last week? So I obviously don't turn the ball over, but we'll see how it all plays out down on one of the other Tobacco Road matchups. Chris, I have 2 questions for you before we get to the next game. We're not going to go in depth on Kent State and Florida State, but how much did you rise Kent State after nearly upsetting Buffalo last week?
Let me just tell you that's a team that has shown a lot of improvement. Last year, I closed them, according to my numbers, a 30, which is
unfathomably low.
70 points worse than the best team in Division I. And this year, where I got them, they're at 46.
Yeah, they're 16 points better.
Yeah, I mean, they've played tough. By the way, not to go off on a big diatribe here, but
go ahead.
With the way the NIL is working and the way just the whole structure of college football, teams are going to change dramatically from one year to the next, both good and bad. It's almost like college basketball, where it's like, I don't know, pick a team. Maybe they got 2 big recruits, and all of a sudden I'm looking at like East Tennessee State, like back in 2020. There's a team that really got screwed, when they canceled the tournament. Excuse me. I think they could have made a very big run, and I don't know if we'll ever see that again. But you may see that, maybe not quite to that extent in college football, but teams are going to be, there's a chance that they can get dramatically better. Probably a bunch of kids that say, hell, I can play for Kent State. I'm going there. At least I'll get on the field a whole bunch of times. And if I have a good year, who knows? I get up to the Big Ten or something like that. So, I don't know. Maybe the depth will take a, what was the word I used? Precipitous drop as the year goes on.
Bingo card.
As the year goes on. I mean, that's definitely something to watch on a team like Kent State. But right now, they're playing pretty good ball.
One other question from the chat real quick. Denman, who is in there for the first time. So he's using the phrase Vegas trap game, which is I think a combination of 2 phrases there. Yeah. More so than anything. More so when trap games, you've always said this. Go ahead.
They don't exist.
There you go. Yeah. But
it's almost always the same thing.
Yeah.
The road favorite isn't a high enough point spread.
Yeah.
That's probably fits 98% of the quote unquote trap game.
But again, we have obviously our spots where you have letdown spots and look ahead spots, sandwich games, which we will get to one of the more epic sandwich games of the year coming up in a little bit. But hey, as Chris says, and I know you would echo it, Vinny, the trap game does not exist.
It's a figment of your imagination.
You can always pass.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next one here. Chris, you know what? Speaking of interesting betting movement, you brought this up to us on Tuesday this week with Wisconsin and Maryland, which Wisconsin's now 10 across the board in this game with a total of 44. But you took some interesting action on this game earlier in the week.
One of my guys, definitely a sharp guy, definitely not known to take the worst of any number. He laid me 7.5 on this game. So, okay, we're in kind of some dead numbers range. I go straight to 8.5. Boom, laid it right back, 8.5. Even then, I had to. Would you go ask him? Is that what he wants? Yeah, Okay, so then I texted Spanky, I texted Sammy P, I texted Falika. Nobody knew anything. Why? Like an injury or whatever. But here we are. A couple days later, the 8.5 looks like it was a hell of a number. We're up to 10 on this game, and I think it's mostly kind of a blanket 10, really. I don't know. I think, I warned, probably mentioned it on this show, definitely mentioned it to my crew. I think there's something wrong with Maryland this year with Loxley. I think he lost the team last year, and I don't know that he's going to not do the same thing this year. But let me just say, I haven't had I'll be rooting for him on Saturday because I haven't had any buyback yet. So, but we're sitting at 10. But this is just a strange betting game to me with no apparent injury that I know of.
All Badgers. I mean, let's look at it. But don't you still all that? Maryland's still better than they were a year ago.
Maybe.
Right? I mean, well, look,
maybe.
You know what? I have 1 point better than I am.
But I just, and is this a desperate spot for Wisconsin? Because they haven't been exactly thrilling.
Oh, no. Vinny, I take that back. I am 3 points better than I am.
I'm just saying they're,
I didn't know.
they're 3-0, aren't they, Maryland?
2, I believe.
2-0?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's better than
3. Yeah.
3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just.
Sorry, Towson.
I don't get it either, Vinny.
I mean, the injury is actually with Wisconsin.
Yeah.
They have trouble with quarterback, and I'm not sure.
We don't know.
They both stink. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter. But
It's not like they're scoring points like
Right.
So honestly, I don't know. If this is a false move, we'll know this afternoon and this evening.
Let's go
Those
to.
tens will be gone quick.
excuse me, what's it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Total's 44.
Yeah, it's low.
10 points in a total 44. That's a lot of points.
All right, let's go to arguably the best game of the day, and that is early morning breakfast and football in Salt Lake City, which, thank you again, Fox, for doing some ridiculous scheduling here.
What is that?
It's idiocy. That's what it is, Chris. Alex, so it's 3 here at the South Point still. The total's 57. Chris and company are basically the only 3 left in the market. So if you like Utah, come down here, visit Dwayne Colucci up at the Rampart, get it in sooner rather than later. What do you like in this game? First real test for Texas Tech going on the road. It's not Utah's fault their schedule fell apart, but they won at UCLA. We know the Bruins now stink. They won big with that late touchdown. They didn't necessarily need to score against Wyoming a week ago.
I've been pretty aggressive upgrading Utah and, hearing from both of you guys and watching them play. And I've always liked backing Whittingham. I know he's a really good coach, and now they've got an offense. And Dampier's been really good for them, completing 73% of his passes, 7.1 yards per play. No interceptions on the year so far. While I do like Texas Tech and their offense with Bear Morton, who's been there now for a couple years, or this is his second year, I don't think they've really been tested. Oregon State is no good. So that win you can't really take too much for. I think Wyoming was a tricky spot, and they handled their business. They'll be ready for this. I like the home team here. I made them 6, so I'm hoping I can still get 3 on one of the contests, but I'll be betting it too. I like the Utes.
Westgate has a 3 in their contest.
Yeah.
This might make my list too. I've been very aggressive moving Utah because I didn't like them at the beginning of the year, but I like an awful lot of what I've been seeing so far. And, Whittingham, I mean, the guy is a hell of a coach. And now, I don't know what happened with, what's the quarterback's name?
It Cam Rising.
Right.
From last year,
Yeah. I mean, we had 2 years where he was questionable every single week. But this team looks like they're very solid in Texas Tech. Now, one caveat here. Bill Conley, our friend, has Texas Tech rated really, really high. I think he may have them number 1 in that S&P Plus that he uses, which isn't always a good betting standard to go by, but it means something for sure. But nonetheless, I still like Utah, and I think 3 is a lay, and I see it going up everywhere. Matter of fact, during the break, I may make a phone call but I do know we have a lot of money on Texas Tech.
Just hopping in on Connolly, his S&P plus, SP Plus is Texas Tech is the top team in the Big 12. They're 12th overall in his rankings.
Okay.
And Utah's number 2 in the Big 12. They're 15th. So pretty even matchup here.
Well, you got a home field advantage here too with the Utes, which is important. So I get it. They took 4, they took 3.5, but there's going to be Utah money here.
Okay, so there were some 4s and 3.5.
Open 4.
I was going to say, are we going to see 2.5 if the money's coming in on Texas Tech? But there's no way.
I'd probably go back the other way.
I think you'll see Utah money.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Civil War, Chris. We can be quick on this one. The Ducks have just eviscerated everything in their path so far. Oregon State is just I feel bad for both them and Wazoo because they're both of those teams are really not any good. We're at 5 whole touchdowns in this game. The market does have it as low as 34 right now, but Oregon is Penn State next week.
Yeah. But I don't think they're looking past Oregon State. I mean, that is a big rivalry. And if you spend any time up there, and my one daughter was looking at both Oregon and Oregon State, and there's two programs very proud. Now, Oregon State, certainly not up to Oregon standards in college football, but they are in other sports. Matter of fact, they're one of the best baseball programs out there. You know, they're two very proud schools. I still made the number 40. I mean, it's, going to be hard for Oregon State to put the brakes on Oregon. But I don't think Oregon's looking past this game. I think that would be out of character for an Oregon team.
They might have let out all their anger on Oklahoma State, so maybe Oregon State skates by a little bit here, and they just want to get out of there and get ready for Penn State. But Oregon State has just looked awful. I think of the two, Pac-2, I think I like Washington State getting the points more than this one.
Oregon State, in-state rivalries, there's no let-up. I mean, there's no letdowns, there's no let-ups. And Oregon State and Washington State, they're not going to really start getting right in football and probably basketball until they get into a conference, right? So next year they get everyone into a conference. So I think that's impacting their NIL ability as well as the transfer portal.
You brought it up. Is this like 2 weeks ago where Oregon is just up so much that it doesn't matter what the number is? Or is it like last week where they sleptwalked in Evanston? They were up 34-0.
Gave up 2 late touchdowns.
And they gave up 2 late touchdowns. So it actually was a pretty easy cover in the end. And everyone bet Northwestern like they knew that they were covering that game last week. So we'll see. We'll see what type of effort. But you guys are right. I mean, this is an intense rivalry, to say the very least. All right. Huge one in the SEC, Alex. Jackson Arnold returns to Norman as a member of the Auburn Tigers, taking on the Sooners. John Mateer is the current betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. We've seen 6. We've seen 6.5. We've seen 7 on this game. We're right at 6.5. Alex, with the Sooners laying it at home with a total of 47 in this one.
I think we're oppo on this one, Jeff. But I like the home team here. I made this number 9, and I'm probably a little bit higher on Oklahoma, but I learned a lot from them with that Michigan win. And I always knew Brent Venables had a really good defense, but I was impressed. And if you saw Michigan's score last week, that's even more impressive what they were able to do to their offense. I know it was a rookie on the road, but still, I mean, Michigan's a tough school. And Auburn, I just don't think they're going to be able to run on Oklahoma like they have everybody else, including Baylor. And, they've been bumped up a lot from that 38-24 win, but I like the home team. I like the better defense here. I think both quarterbacks have played great. John Mateer, I think he's really stepped up to the occasion. I think he can keep them rolling here. I think they can win by a touchdown.
I made this number a little bit higher, but as I looked into it, I think Oklahoma has 3 offensive linemen who are hurt. I don't know about out or even doubtful or anything like that, but that would scare me a little bit. Anybody that follows me knows I key a lot on that offensive line, but I did make the number a little bit higher. If those guys are healthy and playable and, no real detriment to the offense, I would probably favor the favorite a little bit in this spot.
Oklahoma by 6 on the Plains last year, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, Chris, there's your angle again, right?
What's that?
The Auburn lost at home to Oklahoma last year. So, 27-21. Again, some folks, you always want to, again, give a glance to what occurred a year before. But look, Oklahoma definitely looks like they're settling into the SEC finally, and both of these teams are 3-0. So good game, one of the better games of the day. Position nice, right in the middle of the day, 12:30 Pacific. So this will get plenty of action.
Say the phrase, Vinny.
It's a toggler.
No, not that one.
Two-way
I'm on the
action.
opposite side of Alex in this one.
Oh.
Don't we have the video key?
It's better live though.
Two-way action right here at the desk.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I like Auburn outright. Actually, I just think that the way, and look, forget Hugh Freeze the human. We're talking Hugh Freeze the football coach here. When Hugh Freeze has the type of team that he likes, we've seen him beat Nick Saban multiple times. We've seen him run roughshod over that ridiculous league Liberty was in. He has the team he wants. Now, he has a quarterback who's playing under control and playing the best football he's played in college.
They're getting healthier. They're getting a few of the receivers back who missed the last few weeks. You mentioned the Oklahoma offensive line injuries. Yeah. Looks like they're going to be without 2 of them.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
that would wear the hell out.
And that's scary in this spot. And look, John Mateer's been great, but the one thing Mateer does that scares me is John Mateer can turn the ball over.
Yes.
And I think Auburn is going to try to make this a limited possession game. We're going to run. We're going to basically play it like that Baylor game. We're just going to beat the hell out of you with our offensive line and our run game. I like Auburn. I grabbed 7 yesterday when it was available. Have 6.5. We'll have a little bit of money line. I think Auburn pulls this thing out outright on the road against Oklahoma. And then Auburn gets whacked next week in College Station. That's the way that I see this going, where next week is the one where it comes home to roost a little bit against a high-end Aggie team, as we know. All right, here's another one.
Action.
Oh, there it is.
Thank you.
Man, there it go.
This crack crew, boy, I tell you.
Let's go to Oxford next. This is this is a really interesting one. Tulane's undefeated. Mm-hmm. Vinny, the AAC looks like it might have 4 of the 5 best teams in the G5 this year, and Tulane is one of them. Now you go on the road against Ole Miss. Chambliss is starting for the 2nd consecutive week now for Ole Miss, but there might be an argument he's better than Simmons.
Simmons is out.
You're at 12 here with a total of 61. Ole Miss landed at home.
It's held pretty steady, right? At 12.5. So there's not a lot of movement on this game. Tulane. You mentioned it, Jeff. When you look at the group of 5 schools, a lot of respect. They're very competitive. Their game, you know what? They bear keeping note of. And again, the one thing about Ole Miss is Kiffin said he addressed the defense in the offseason. I don't know for which year. Because
so like the Gettysburg Address?
It hasn't been this year yet. So, but they put up points too. And if you look at, you got a pretty high total here of 61, got as high as 61.5, 62 in some spots. But I suspect that we'll see continued money come in on the over on this one.
I like the dog in these out of conference matchups with.
This one just went to 11. Excuse me, Chris. Looks like 11 now.
We're 11 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, Kiffin might score that late touchdown. We know he has a habit of doing that. He's from the James Franklin school. But gun to my head, I'd probably take the dog, but I'm not crazy about it.
Yeah, I made it higher, so I lean to Ole Miss. Especially, I do like that Trinidad Chambliss. He was really good, and not that I don't like Austin Simmons. It kind of reminds me of Anthony Richardson. Like, the talent's there. He's really athletic, but it's not developed yet. So that makes me like Ole Miss even more. But I'm not going to jump in because it's kind of a sandwich game. The exact reason why I'm betting against Arkansas. So I don't want to get stuck there in the trenches too.
Ole Miss has LSU next week, so huge game obviously in that one. I don't know. I don't know. Like, Tulane's look great, but Northwestern's not any good. Duke, I think we overrated going into the year, and they were fortunate to get out of South Alabama with a win when it was all said and done. We'll see. You can make if you told me Ole Miss needs a late score to win the game by 3, yeah, I could see it. If you tell me Ole Miss wins by 23, yeah, I think this perfectly right in the tweener zone here.
I don't know. Is it now? It's 12.
Yeah,
what's going on back there?
Yeah, it was 12.
It was 11 over there a minute ago.
They're giving you more.
Guys, stop pushing those buttons over there.
11, we're at 12.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Lawrence next. How about West Virginia last week? How about that in the backyard brawl, which was one of the weirder. Well, it's always bizarre, but it was even by backyard brawl standards. It was bizarre last week. West Virginia pulls out the upset in overtime over Pitt. Now they go on the road to Kansas. Kansas is off a bye. Previously, they lost that heartbreaker to Missouri. 13, Chris, on this one with Kansas and Lawrence.
Well, I made it 12, and one of our followers texted me after Saturday, and he said, I could tell by the way you were talking, even though what wasn't one of your official plays, you liked West Virginia. So he followed West Virginia. Yeah. And I hope he had him on the money line too. But, I told some stories about being at some of those games. I knew it was going to be a really intense game, and it was. This game I made 12. I have no real opinion in the game. But, I think West Virginia can hang in there, I guess, with 12. But A lot of respect for Kansas.
I made it 9, but I was all over West Virginia last week, and I think I was pretty fortunate to actually get that one right. It could have went either way, but I don't want to jump in here again with West Virginia. Can lightning strike twice? It's a lot of points, but coming off of that huge game and that big win, I decided to stay off, but it would be a lean to take in the points here with the dog again.
So Kansas off a bye.
Yep.
They lose by 4 in Morgantown a year ago.
Yep.
This game. And is this just a letdown spot you were referring to earlier? This game is up to 13, and I think it's going to continue to go higher.
It's not, but I think this is a great. I know what your numbers are saying, but this kind of feels like West Virginia gets pummeled in this game with a fresh Kansas coming off of. Yeah. It's one thing of like Kansas lost to Missouri last week.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a week off. They've had a week off, and I think that goes from possible despair to ticked off, and that usually is not a good sign. And I didn't change my viewpoint on West Virginia at all. I still think they stink. They just happen to win a rivalry game. We know crazy stuff happens.
I just had that number much lower, so I didn't really change my power rating either. They won a close game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go. Let's keep it in the Big 12. And you know what? I know all the eyes are on Salt Lake City, but this is a damn good game in Waco. And the only reason it's not getting as much attention is because neither of these teams have a number in front of them for the AP poll, which, Vinny, polls don't make prices. A smart guy told me.
Ever.
Yeah.
Don't ever.
Baylor's 2.5. Hasn't really moved much.
No.
Total 60.5. This is a tremendous game, Vinny.
Well, and this total's gone up, and I think it'll continue to go up. There'll be more movement on the total for the right up until game time, just like there has been during the course of the week. The conference opener for both of these teams. I got to tell you, this teams now, these are, and this is good that more games are going to be impactful, right? Because of head-to-head conference plays finally getting underway, and you've got a power conference, Power 4 conference with postseason implications. So I love it. I'm tired of these. Then we still have some of these 40-point. By the way, just not to go off on a rant, but to me, 10 conference games, play 2 games against the other Power 4 conferences. These 40 and 50-point games. I'm sorry, what they're paying teams to come and getting these games and do these things and everything. I don't know.
When I do the highest scoring team of the day, I figure out the theoretical score with the point spread and the total. What's the one game? Florida State? What are they, 45?
Yeah.
The theoretical score is 50-5.
Yeah. like.
I was going to say Florida State first.
Anyway, that's just something. I mean, with in this era, because those games they're important. I mean, look at how great was the Texas Ohio State game, right? Yeah. I mean.
So it might have ruined Arch Manning before he even got started as well. By the way, I like Baylor in this game. I think they should be a bigger favorite personally, but I don't know. Not as high on Arizona State as everyone else seems to be.
Yeah, I mean, I made Baylor 1, so I guess if it got to 3, I'd consider the dog, but not a 2.5.
Pretty high on both of these teams coming into the year, so I thought this was a great number. I would, if you made me play it, I would be on Baylor as well. I like Sawyer Robinson. I think he's having a great year. And Sam Levitt, something might be off because he's already got 3 interceptions to just 5 touchdowns on the year. And last year he had 24-6, so much better ratio. And I don't know, maybe
lost that guy in the backfield.
Yeah, I was going to say Scadabo's already making waves in the NFL, so I just might be missing Cam more so than anything. All right, well, we now reach our obligated point of the week when we get to college football, and that's USC, Chris. The Trojans hosting Michigan State. Poor Michigan State fans. They have to wait till 11 o'clock at night East Coast time to watch their team probably get pummeled in L.A. You're at 18.5 in this one. The market's as high as 19.5 now on the Trojans. I know that was just such a weird one last week where 3-hour weather delay before it gets going, and in USC, it was kind of flat, but still never in doubt last week against Purdue.
My numbers come higher, but I think I mentioned I had dinner with a guy before the season who I greatly respect. Doesn't want his name being mentioned, but his surprise team this year was Michigan State. They haven't really shown much yet, so I did make this number a lot higher. Of course, my surprise team is USC. But I think USC just has a way of scoring and scoring and scoring. And I don't know if Michigan State could keep up with them. But that's an 8 o'clock start. Is that the worst start of the week, or is it the Utah game that's starting at 9? I'm not sure which one. Two awful ones.
To Chris's point, I love this over. This is actually the only total I really like this week because I do think USC is going to be able to score. But Michigan State, Aiden Childs looks like a new quarterback this year. He's been playing really well, 8.1 yards per attempt, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. I know they haven't played anyone great, but, I mean, we really liked Boston College against him, got into a shootout, got some overtime there. But I think they can score once or twice here, and I think we can get over 54.5.
You'll get the best number because they bet it under so far. 56, 56.5, Alex. So if you like the over.
Yeah, I got the best number on that game, 54.5.
So, and again, this is Michigan State's first road swing, right? So I think they're 3-0 at home so far. So big test for them here.
The only thing is, I know this is going to sound very weird, but this is somewhat of a look-ahead spot because USC's next 3 games at Illinois, Michigan, at Notre Dame. It's a lot tougher for the Trojans beginning next week in Champaign.
We'll find out a lot more in the next 3 weeks.
We sure will. Jade Mayoff has been great so far. No arguing that. All right, now for the sandwich spot of the year, Alex White. Let's go to Memphis. Memphis Tigers are now 7-point underdogs against Arkansas. Arkansas, I don't want to say they should have won that game because their defense was awful, but they had a damn good chance to last week at Ole Miss. And then they get Notre Dame next week at home. This is a brutal sandwich spot against a Memphis team that, again, that American with them and Tulane and South Florida and North Texas, that American Athletic is really, really good this year, Alex.
It really is. And I had Memphis at the top going into the year, thinking they could win the American, but we've seen a lot of good teams pop up. But yeah, sandwich spot here. I think that was a brutal loss for Arkansas. Now they got to go play Memphis, and they're probably looking ahead to Notre Dame, trying to get another big-time win here. So Memphis going to rely on their run game a lot. Sutton Smith, their workhorse running back, has been fantastic. Brendan Lewis came over from Nevada. He looks a lot better with some more talent around him. And I know Taylon Green is having a great year, great second year there at Arkansas. But I think Memphis can get on the board early and at least hang around in this one.
Yeah, Memphis right across the river from Arkansas.
Yeah.
It's going to be a full boat at the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, I like the dog here. Look ahead, no look ahead. I think Memphis pretty tough team. And I think they hang in there against, I said I usually like the dog playing an SEC team, or a Southern dog playing an SEC team. This one's at home. Like I said, they're right across the river from Arkansas. Boy, this is a big game for Memphis. Probably not that big for Arkansas. I like the dog here.
I found an interesting trend as well since 2015. So Norvell before Silverfield, who's here now, but up against Power 5, now Power 4 teams hosting at home a perfect 5-0 straight up.
No kidding.
Winning those. Now it was Mississippi State, I think twice, and then a ACC team in there. But yeah, so pretty good.
Dangerous spot, no doubt.
Spot.
Did hit 7.5 and it got gobbled up right away. And total was down about, I don't know, 1.5, 2 points. But this is very trade. A lot of incentive here for Memphis, no doubt.
7 still good. Money line also, I think, is good on Memphis if you want to take a little shot.
That's another one.
Yeah, that's another one that goes in that grouping I was talking about before. Boy, Arkansas's defense is really bad. And there's no sign of it getting really any better through the year.
So the back door could be wide open.
That's the other way. Like Arkansas could win this game. Would it shock you if Arkansas won this game 51-45?
That's a lot of points.
I know it's a ton of points, but so the same difference, 41-35, like something like that.
How about 31-25? How about that?
That gets you under 61.
Okay,
So, all right, fine. I'm good with that too, Chris. 31-27 is good with me. All right, let's go to Lincoln. Boy, it kind of feels like Nebraska's had this opportunity in a game like every year for the last decade now, and they always seem to fall flat on their face when they get this sort of opportunity. Vinny, they are betting the home dog. It's down to 1.5 now in this game.
This ain't Houston Christian.
It ain't Houston Christian, that's for sure. Still no Sharon Moore. He's suspended. Biff Poggi will coach yet again for Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you take anything from Michigan eviscerating their opponent last week? I really can't.
Not really. Just tune up, get things right. Game. It's kind of interesting how the game went up first from 2 to 2.5, and now it's come back. So I think there's support here for Nebraska. I think it'll continue. So to your point, Jeff, we've been waiting for this Nebraska team the last couple of years to make call it. I don't. You want to call it a statement game or get right game or get back to Nebraska standards game.
Yeah.
So but that's the way it's been bet in the last 24 hours.
I think this is a culture change game. I think they got the right guy to make the culture change.
Third year, right? Rule?
Third year for Rule. I mean, this is now talked about. You talk about Auburn. That's Hugh Freeze's team. This is now Rule's team.
Yeah,
I like them a lot in this spot. I think they have the wrong favor in this game. I mean, not by much, but I think this is a huge game for Nebraska. Really like them a lot in this spot. This is a good spot, and I think a culture change. You're going to see it here. And listen, Vinny and I have had a long association with the Gaughan family, who were originally Jackie's from Nebraska. I think John saw us season tickets there. Am I correct, Vinny?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of root for them.
Sure.
Why not? And I think they finally got the right guy, and I think I like them a lot in this spot. And I think they win this game.
Total's up 3 points too.
I was just looking at
You're
that.
looking at that, Alex?
I couldn't stop. I was thinking it might have got high enough for me to go under now. Are we expecting that many points from these two? I know Nebraska has a pretty good offense with Dylan Raiola, but it's Michigan.
Underwood finally.
They finally unleashed him last week. Yeah.
I'll say playing up to what his vast potential, which was huge. But again, this kind of a different environment here.
So
first game on the road, I think, for
second, because Oklahoma a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
So,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't trust Nebraska. That's all it is. I don't trust either of these teams right now. So we'll see how it plays out.
Maybe they'll build your trust.
I think this is a great in-game game. By the way, if Nebraska wins this game, they have a pretty nice path to 8-0 in a showdown against USC on the 1st of November. So they have a real path to get themselves.
Conference game, Nebraska.
Conference
USC.
game. Hey, back-to-back conference games, USC and UCLA for Nebraska next year, in November. All right, let's go to South Bend. Chris, Notre Dame's 0-2. I mean, they have 2 one-score losses to 2 legitimate top 15 teams. They're 25 against Purdue in this one with a total of 51.5.
Well, I'll tell you what, a matter of fact, I had lunch with Steve Stallworth before we came on, and we were laughing at the statement I made a couple of years ago when they hired Barry Odom. I said, he seems fine, but Vince Lombardi couldn't win at UNLV. But I made the joke. I said, Steve, I never said a word about Barry Odom because he, of course, won at UNLV. There was a culture change there. And I've got to tell you, he's doing a pretty damn good job at Purdue. Now, it hasn't shown in the one-loss record yet, but you can see this team is vastly improved. This is another time where this is a huge game for Purdue. Ordinarily, maybe not as big for Notre Dame, but coming off 0-2, this is going to be a pretty big game for Notre Dame. I made the number right there. I think I made it 26. So I have no real opinion in the game. I had 27, I made the number. So no opinion in the game. But, Purdue, this is going to be an interesting game to watch. I think all of a sudden this team's competitive.
Well, UNLV Notre Dame rolled at Purdue last year.
Yeah.
But this is a different Notre Dame team, particularly under center and defensively. So more movement on the total, actually. The total's down 4 points from the opener. So Notre Dame trying to get things right. I mean, what about maybe a 5% chance of making the playoff at this point, considering they were in the title game a year ago.
Yeah, Notre Dame's got to win out to get in. If they go 9-3, even
I
though
disagree.
there will be people that make arguments if they're 7-5. I know, Chris.
I disagree.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. All right. Interesting one here with the way the markets handled Missouri and South Carolina. It didn't look like Sellers was going to play earlier in the week. Then the Pete Thamel report comes out. Now it looks like Sellers is going to at least try in this game. Mizzou's undefeated, and the Bolt Perbula, Ahmad Hardy 1-2 punch looks pretty darn good so far through the first month. It's 10, Chris, with a total of 49 in this game.
Well, I made a semi-joke earlier that maybe Penn State kept the wrong quarterback. It's not that much of a joke if you look at the play on the field. Aller's been disappointing, and Perbula has been, he's got to be pretty close to as good as anybody in the country
He's
right
been
now.
great through the first month.
Geez. I mean, tough to take too much away from the early season, but I loved this kid last year. I was sick when he transferred out of Penn State. I like the favorite in this game. I think South Carolina, I think they've been largely disappointing from where we had them penciled in at the beginning of the year. I hate laying double digits in a spot like this, but I think this might be the right spot. I think Missouri is still not quite rated properly, and South Carolina is still a little overrated.
I'm with you. I like the favorite here. I mean, I think this number is probably right with the healthy Lenora Sellers, but then again, I mean, they have not really looked good. We had high expectations for them this year, but I mean, their whole offense relies on Lenora Sellers. So if he can't go the full game, I think it's going to be trouble, just like we saw against Vandy. So I like Mizzou, and I was saying that earlier this week too, that Purdue is really good. And I know that they're loyal when jump over Drew Aller, so couldn't do much, but
no, they couldn't do that.
Maybe something to be said about not having a guy like that sitting behind you, threatening your job. Maybe with Drew Aller.
You never know.
Because I just keep you on your toes, if he knew how good he was.
If he saw him in practice every day, he's thinking, man, this kid's pretty darn good.
Right.
Little payback factor here too, right? From a year ago.
You could make the argument that South Carolina actually kept Missouri out of the playoff conversation because Mizzou went 9-3 last year, even though they had all horrible injuries across the board. And that South Carolina game, Mizzou actually led with a minute to go until Sellers led the Gamecocks down the field.
10-2 probably puts them in ahead of SMU.
It would have been a conversation. Would have been a conversation. If Mizzou wins this game, they have UMass next week. Bravo. And then they have a bye and they play Alabama. So they have a gigantic if Mizzou wins, and 10-point favorite, you're supposed to, they'd be 5-0 going into Alabama, which I will be as big of a game at Columbia, Missouri as there's been in some time.
You going back for that one?
I don't think so. Don't think so.
Remote show.
I might remote in for that one. All right. I have two more I want to hit real quick here. I want to go, Vinny, to a game that just has been smacked around by the bettors, and that's in Colorado Springs, where they are one-way traffic on Boise State throughout the week. We're at 11 now on the Broncos in this one, and a total of 51.5. I know Air Force did not look good and defeated Utah State last week, but boy, this is aggressive here.
Yeah. Look, you look at this game, but there's history here too, because they didn't play last year, but prior to it, Boise won 9 out of 10. They own this, and when you look at that kind of a sample size, it's kind of psychological too, right? And so now, and Boise, they put it on them. I mean, they covered 8 of those games. So I'm not totally shocked at the move on Boise, but this Air Force team is not awful. So at some point, I think we're going to see some Air Force money, particularly at home, Chris.
Well, I had Utah State last week against this Air Force team. I thought they just maybe had the wrong favorite in that game. But coming back the other way, I like Air Force in this game. This number's just gotten too high. And I know the theory, Boise State had a week off after a horrible opening week, and then, semi-impressive second week against Eastern Washington. And they get a week off. And they play Air Force every year. No, not last year. But they know this offense, whereas a lot of teams don't really. But I've said this many times. I'm going to say it one more time. When you see this Air Force team play football, you're happy that these are the guys defending the country. I'm saying these kids go out there and they play hard. They're disciplined. They don't make too many mistakes. Yeah, maybe they're not the greatest, football athletes, but this team is going to play hard. And I know they haven't covered a whole lot against Boise, and I know all the arguments for betting on Boise. But as a standard rule, I root for the military teams. Not that I'm a big military guy, but for the kids themselves, I know how hard it is to go into these academies and play football and do everything else that they're required from. Yeah. Those kids have a ton of my respect, including Air Force. This number's gotten too high. I like Air Force in this game.
That makes me feel better because I did make it 5 and haven't done anything. I didn't know if there was something I didn't know, but I did think about the week off, extra time to prepare for this one.
Look at my number. I made it 4.
Okay. I like Air Force here. And maybe they couldn't cover the 7 where the number's supposed to be, but now people have just taken it
11,
too far.
11 and a half.
11's crazy. 11's a lot. Well, we'll see. All right, one last one. Apple Cup, Chris.
Guys are up to 20 now.
Yeah.
Alex has been talking about this game all week. Boy, we're all over the map here in the market. We got 19.5s. We got 21s. We're all over the map here with this one now. Wazoo, obviously, the underdog after getting annihilated by North Texas last week.
Well, I made it 20, and I have a lot of respect for Washington, but again, this is such a huge game for Wash State. Like I said, I made it 20. I know Washington, I think, is probably very good and probably a lot better than what we had thought at the beginning of the year. But Wash State, just one of those teams, maybe it's just because I need them an awful lot, but I wind up rooting for them. And I'm probably going to be rooting for them here too, but I made the number 20. So
Didn't Washington State win?
They did.
At Washington last
It
year.
was at the NFL stadium. But
that's right. And where the
that's the
Seahawks play. I mean,
same.
So
Yeah.
I mean, 24-19. Yeah. Look. Throw records out. Throw a lot of things out when you have these in-state rivalry games, right? So, not a
Alex?
shock here. It's a lot
I
of points.
might just have a bad number. I made it 12, so maybe I haven't upgraded Washington enough. But I thought 20 was crazy, so I'll probably play a little bit of the dog here,
I'll be
taking the
rooting for you,
points.
I'm sure.
There we go. All right. That's the college football segment of the program. When we get back, we start off with a Chris Andrews special. A team that was a home dog last week is a road favorite in the first game that's going to be up in the NFL section when we get back. Sports by the Books, football frenzy on a Friday.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
More football frenzy coming to you live right now here at the South Point studio. I'm Jeff Parles. The well-dressed man to my left is Vinny Magliulo. Alex White is here. Chris Andrews is here. Chris Andrews representing Oakmont today.
Yeah.
1 week away from the Ryder Cup.
Oh, is that right?
Ryder Cup's
I just
next
pulled
week.
this out of my closet. There's no rhyme or reason.
I'll have to
for
wear
it.
my bet page shirt is over in the corner, actually, is my in case of emergency shirt for show. So I got to wear that next week with the Ryder Cup up. And boy, that crowd's going to be unbelievable, to say the very least, at bet page next week.
Yes.
Oh,
a little
man.
boisterous.
Yeah, just slightly. All right, let's go to the NFL. Chris, real quick on last night. Buffalo wins.
Yeah.
The game slides over. with that last second field
That
goal.
didn't help. Yeah.
But Miami was wire to wire within the number. They cover. Bills are 3-0. Dolphins are 0-3. Two teams going in the complete opposite directions.
Yeah, I know, but something I said before. If you were lucky enough to go to high school with one of your guys that made the NFL, he was probably the big stud in high school and all that. Get to the NFL, there's 52 other guys on the team that are just as good as that guy was, and that's why you see dogs cover in the NFL. And we needed the dog to cover. Would have been really nice if they could have won outright, which I thought we had a hell of a shot. If it wasn't for the block punt and the interception, we're right there. Or the roughing the kicker on the block punt.
Yeah,
we're right there to win it. But, all in all, it was okay. But, I mean, the over kind of hurt us. But, that's football, what can I tell you?
Let's go to this weekend. Yeah, really nondescript last night, more so than anything, other than with the way that box score looked, kind of stunned Miami State in that game. Yeah. But they covered.
Tua, like 4.5 yards per attempt, something like that?
Before the last two drives, I mean, Miami was sub 4 yards per play. Tua was sub 4. Ridiculous, exactly. Inevitable 2025 coming up next Monday with the Jets and the Dolphins on Monday night. Get excited for that. All right, let's go to Nashville first. All right, Chris, you brought it up on Monday.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect spot to start. Indianapolis, a 4-point road favorite of Tennessee. By the way, Tennessee has not covered a home game since the 2023 season. Always a good sign with that. They're 4-point underdogs in this one, but Chris, the bigger one for you, as you've mentioned plenty of times, Indianapolis goes from being a home dog to a road favorite. They're not the only one this week. And
there's two of them.
Here you are, 4-point road dogs with a total of 43.5, or 4-point road favorites, I should say, total 43.5.
Not that I love Tennessee that much. I really don't. There's not that much really to love yet. Well, we're hearing, still hear some good things out of about Cam Ward. But you look at this Colts team, and so far so good. And I think Shane Steichen is a hell of a coach. Maybe that brought out the best in Daniel Jones. But maybe Daniel Jones that we've seen for the last 5 or 6 years is the real Daniel Jones. Maybe. And if so, I think that the Colts, this could be a week of their comeuppance, or at least come back down to normal. And, I've said it before, anything over 3 is like a mountain to climb in this league. That's all these teams are playing to win by. They can get by with a 3-point win. They go home happy, brother. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
So I think 4 is a take here. And, this is going to be on my list. And, listen, Michael Jack told me about that system 20 years ago. And that's the only system that he's ever played. God rest his soul. Michael Jack was a damn good handicapper. God bless him. So I follow him. And believe me, you can do a lot better than following my Uncle Jack. A lot worse than following my Uncle Jack. And I'm going to follow him in this one. I'm definitely going to be on the dog here.
I think we're all in agreement. I'm taking the points here with the dog as well. I mean, Cam Ward's had a tough task, right, to start his NFL career. He goes to Denver. They were pretty competitive against the Broncos, and then they host the LA Rams with Matthew Stafford coming to town. So I think